All right, hey guys, thank you for so much for joining us for our webinar today. And so today we wanted to talk about 2.5 gigabit. And you may have been hearing about 2.5 gigabit, and QNAP has been coming out with a lot of 2.5 gigabit products and things. But we've had 10 gigabit for so long, so why 2.5 gigabit? And that's part of the reason why we wanted to get on here and talk about it. And so we'll talk about why you would use it, who's going to use it, the use cases for it, what the advantages are. And I'm here with Eric Oliveros, our marketing manager, and he's going to run through some of the advantages and let us know what it is. So if we look here, we can see the agenda of, we're going to talk about what 2.5 gigabit is, why you would use 2.5 gigabit, who 2.5 gigabit is for, and the use cases it'll be best suited for, what you need to achieve your 2.5 gigabit speed, so what you need to build your 2.5 environment, and we're going to run a live demo for you. All right, so Eric, can you explain with us what is 2.5 gigabit?
Sure, thank you, Cody. So thank you for joining us again. So as Cody discussed, we'll be talking about pretty much all things 2.5 and why this benefits you. So without further ado, we're going to talk about what is 2.5 gig. So consumer Ethernet has been pretty much followed the trend of each generation having 10 times the maximum speed as the previous one. But 2.5 gig was a quarter measure upgrade of sorts that CPU companies decided along the way to introduce 2.5 gig devices to the market. So what does that mean for us? With more devices, 2.5 gig connectivity out there, upgrading your network to a 2.5 gig environment should be something to consider to fully utilize the faster speeds on these devices. So there was a time when the usual 1 gig Ethernet connection between your router and devices was fast enough, but emerging multi-gig Wi-Fi 6 standards have driven higher bandwidth demands for wired and wireless network connections. So while faster network speeds greatly benefit multi-user environments like workplaces, home users can also take advantage of faster internet speeds as well, because 2.5 gig is the best balance of both performance and value for users who want faster networks but don't want to spend more expensive cost of a 2.0 gig upgrade. So why 2.5 gig? It basically comes down to 3 factors. First, easy to upgrade. As many of you heard the 10 gig buzzword in the past few years, 10 gig was and still is the wave of the future for connectivity. But to fully acquire true 10 gig speeds takes a little more than just buying a switch. For larger office environments, you would need to rewire to Cat6 cabling to fully benefit from 10 gig speeds. With 2.5 gig, you can use your existing Cat5e cabling. Also cost effective. So 10 gig cards and switches, though the prices have dropped in the past couple of years, are still a bit costly for most end users. So with 2.5 gig, you can pretty much upgrade to a multi-gig switch and purchase a card if necessary for a fraction of the cost of a 10 gig switch. Also rewiring, as the rewiring point that I mentioned, you can use your existing Cat5 wiring without needing to upgrade. So again, it's a big cost advantage compared to upgrading to 10 gig and having to rewire everything to get full 10 gig speeds. Next, well, obviously significantly faster speeds. With 2.5 gig, you can get up to 150% faster speeds than regular 1 gig Ethernet. So the small investment alone can more than double your network speeds, and it's definitely something worth considering. And last but not least, future-proof. So QNAP has multi-gig NAS models with built-in 2.5 gig ports, affordable 2.5 gig cards, which you can get under 40 bucks, 5 gig adapters, as well as multi-gig switches that will allow you to bump up from 2.5 gig to 5 gig or even 10 gig in the future. So you can get a switch with different multi-gig ports. So it's a very flexible way to set up if you want faster speeds now, with room to upgrade to even more faster speeds later. So who is 2.5 gig for? Well, the short answer to that is pretty much everybody and anybody, from home users who just want faster data transfer speeds for photos and videos from their PCs or laptops to their NAS, as well as prosumers looking for faster network speeds for streaming or for media servers or for gamers as well. or business users who just want to increase their LAN speeds to back up all of their office computers or devices, as well as faster data transfer speeds for larger business files. So all of the above will have immediate benefits of faster 2.5 gig speeds. So what will you need to create a 2.5 gig environment? Well, there's pretty much 3 easy steps. One, a 2.5 gig connection from your devices, a 2.5 gig network switch, and a 2.5 gig connection to and from your NAS, your QNAP NAS. So step 1 is connectivity. So QNAP offers both a network adapter and a very affordable 2.5 gig card to connect to your devices. You can install the card on your laptop or your PC, or install the card on your existing NAS if it has a PCIe slot. Or you can plug in QNAP's handy dandy USB adapter, which is just a small adapter you connect to and from your device and your NAS, and plug in QNAP's, and you connect to your PC to your NAS directly with the adapter. So QNAP has a pretty extensive lineup of multi-gig switches, including the new QSW11055T switch. It's an affordable and compact switch that allows you to connect up to 5 devices or workstations for high-speed collaboration. And again, no additional link cabling required. That's a point I really want to reiterate, that you save money and time without upgrading your cable and use your existing cabling. And lastly, you'll need a NAS with 2.5 gig connectivity, such as the TS53D series NAS, which features multi 2.5 gig ports that support port trunking for greater bandwidth potential. So the TS53D series is available in 2, 4, and 6 bays, which come with a PCIe slot for future network expandability. So now I'll kick it back over to Cody, who's going to give us a quick live demo to demonstrate some of the 2.5 gig speeds, as well as talk about some of the applications you can run with 2.5 gig. So Cody.
All right, thank you, Eric. So I wanted to, for a demo, compare the speeds to a single gig NAS versus our TS453 to demo for you guys, comparing connecting a computer to a single gig NAS over our multi-gig network versus connecting it to a 253D, which is a 2.5 gigabit NAS. So you can kind of see some of the speed difference. So if we select the target here, I have mounted a folder from my single gig office NAS. And so if we run the speeds, it's not bad. And then in the read, it'll probably be around 100 and something as well. But if we switch over to our TS253D, we're going to see substantially higher speeds. And this can be really beneficial for a number of use cases, things like video editing, if you're editing off of the NAS, or just sharing large files. Maybe if you use like iSCSI for various VMs and things, anything where you're transferring data, this is going to be a big game changer. And you can especially see some of the difference in the read of over 250 megabytes a second. And if you did want to use something like Final Cut, you can mount the folder like I've done, and then if you look in some of the for the storage, you can add this. You can just select the public storage from or whatever shared folder you have right here. And so with that, I'm going to go back into the presentation, and then we'll take a look at some of the topology and things with the 2.5 gigabit environments. So here you can see what a 2.5 gig environment might look like. Of course, in the middle, we have the backbone, our 2.5 gigabit switch. And to that, on the top, you can see a PC connecting with a 2.5 gigabit PCIe card, which you would plug in to the computer. if you have a PCIe slot on it. So you can install that, expand your network speed to your computers that way. Another instance would be if you are using a USB-C on your computer or USB-A, you could just use a USB-A to USB-C cord to connect to our adapter. So we actually do provide a USB-C to 5 gigabit adapter, but it's also backward compatible with 2.5 gigabit. And if you're using that on a Mac, the driver should be native to the Mac operating system. If you are using it on Windows, we have a download link you can just use to download the driver to make it work on your Windows as well. And then below that, we have a 2.5 gigabit NAS. So with this type of environment, you can communicate over 2.5 gigabit and access your data off of the NAS at 2.5 gigabit. And another thing we have in this topology that it's a little bit outside tangential to the webinar, but I do want to mention we do have QAura in this picture, and that's a router that's going to be coming out. And the reason I mention that is because it support Wi-Fi 6 and it supports 10 gigabit ports as well. So some of the reason, of course, you will want 2.5 gigabit connections is to eliminate any bottlenecks when you're connecting to newer high-speed internet. As internet service providers are providing faster and faster internets, the last thing you want internet speeds, the last thing you want is to be bottlenecked on your network. So you can actually connect the 2.5 gigabit to the 10 gigabit to Aura as well. And here you can see the specific models of what we're supporting. So the QSW11055T is our first 2.5 gigabit switch. You just plug it in with the DC power, and then it's kind of a plug and play, 5 2.5 gigabit ports. And it sells for under $100, like $99. So very affordable, and it's going to increase your speed a lot. Then we have the TS53D series. This comes in 2-bay, 4-bay, or 6-bay models. So I'm running just a 2-bay right now, and it supports not only 2.5 gigabit Ethernet ports, but it also has a PCIe slot, which you could use to either use it for 10 gigabit expansion, or if you wanted, you could put in M.2 SSDs. So that could be really cool to help maximize the speed of that 2.5 gigabit port while still maintaining your regular drive bays to maximize your storage capacity as well. Because of course you can put SSDs in your regular drive bays, but then that's one less drive bay you have to use. And then so moving on to our 2.5 gigabit network expansion card. So this is what you would use if maybe, so this is a QXG, 2G, 1T, 1225, and this is what you would use if, say you have a NAS that maybe has a PCIe slot, but does not have 2.5 gigabit built in. If you wanted to add it, you could use one of these cards, or like we said in the topology picture above, you could use it to add into your PC if your PC has a PCIe slot, but it doesn't have 2.5 gigabit built into the motherboard. And then finally on the far right, we have the QNAP UC5T1T, and this is our 5 gigabit to USB 3.2 Gen 1 that I was talking about above. And this comes with a USB-A to USB-C cord, but so you can do either one. If you have USB-C or maybe Thunderbolt 3 with the same form factor, you could plug in a USB-C into this, or a USB-A to USB-C, and achieve up to 5 gigabit speeds, which is also backward compatible with the 2.5 gigabit.
I wanted to take this moment to thank you guys for joining us for the webinar. And if you guys want more information, feel free to reach out to us at usasales@qnap.com.